Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the session of Theory of Computation or Formal Languages and Automata Theory. So, in today's session, we will solve one problem related to the Turing machine, and we will discuss the various techniques for the construction of Turing machine. So, these are the two concepts that we are going to discuss in today's session. So, let me start today's session with a one problem here, for which we need to construct the Turing machine. So here we have to construct the Turing machine to perform the multiplication of two numbers, right? So here we have to design a Turing machine that performs the multiplication of two numbers. Okay? So here, how do we implement the logic for this particular operation? So let me consider here the input is m. So I'm considering the input is m is equal to 2, and next one n value, another input, that is another number, n is equal to 3. So when we multiply these two numbers, that is m and n, having value 2 and 3, if you multiply these two values, we will get a result as 6. Okay, so how do we implement such logic by using this Turing machine? Okay, so let us discuss the logic for this operation. So let me consider m is equal to 2. So here I am representing that 2 by using two ones. Okay. So m value I am going to store in input tab by using two ones. Okay. Why? Because the m value which I have taken here is 2. Okay. So that 2 I am representing by using 1. Okay. Next, n value we are having here is 3. So I am representing that n value in input tab by using three ones. Okay, done. Now, when we perform this multiplication, the input tab must contains the result 6 ones. Okay, because the multiplication result is 6, so that 6 is represented by tab or input tab with 6 ones, with the content as 6 ones. Okay, so what we have to do here is that we have to convert this m, that is 2, and n value 3 into 6 ones. So why 6 ones? Because 6 is the result of multiplication of 2 and 3. Okay, so how do we implement the logic for it? So here let me consider the input tab. Okay, so if you see this first diagram here, this is the input tab that I am considering for storing m value, n value, and result. Okay, so first thing, if you see, some of the cells are consisting of blanks. Okay, after that I am storing m value in certain cells. Okay, so some of the cells I am using for storing the m values. Okay, and next, to represent the end of m input and beginning of n input, I am using a delimiter hash. Okay, so delimiter hash indicates that uh, m input has completed, and if we move the head towards right after the hash, it gives the n input. Okay, so we are separating the input m and n by using a delimiter hash. Okay, so then after hash I am using some of the cells to represent the input n. Okay, and next one, again I am using the hash to represent the end of the input n, and if we move the head towards the right of hash, then it gives the result. Okay, so here I am using some of the cells which are in right side of the hash. Those cells I am using for storing the result. Okay, so here input tab is consisting of m value, n value, and also the result. Okay, so that's why I have uh, partitioned the input tab such a way that each portion stores some sort of uh, inputs. Okay, so if you see here, some of the cells are used for storing input value m, and some of the cells are used for storing the input value n, and some of the cells are reserved for storing the result. Okay, so here we are separating the two different fields or two different portion of cells by using a hash, right? So we are separating m and n by using hash, and we are separating n and result portion by using a hash. So hash is a delimiter, right? So how we use this uh, uh, input tape for generating the result of multiplication. Okay, so let me consider here I am having a blank. Okay, some of the cells I am considering it as a blank. Next, I have taken the input value m as 2, so I am representing that m with two ones. Okay, so after that I am using a hash delimiter. Okay, so after delimiter I am going to specify the n value. So n value here is 3, so that 3 will be represented by using three ones. Okay, and next, after the end of the input I am using again hash. So after hash, I'm going to store the result. So initially that cells are going to be consisting of blanks. Okay. So these are the blanks. So we are going to have these blanks. Okay. Done. So this is the one way of storing the input to get the multiplication. Okay. These are the blanks. Okay. So likewise, we are going to have the infinite tape. Now, so just carefully see the logic here. So what we have to do here is that m value is 2 and n value is 3, right? So here what we will do here is that one logic is that you have to represent these 2 three times. Okay, so here if you consider two ones are there in m, so we have to represent m values three times. So three times means what is the m that we are having? Two ones, so we have to represent these two ones three times. So if we represent these two ones three times, it is going to give the multiplication result as 6. Okay, and another logic is that we can represent this 3, that is n value two times. Okay, we can represent this n value two times. So if we represent this n value two times, what will happen? Again we will get a multiplication result, that is 6. Okay, so here what is the n value? We are having 3. So if we represent these three ones two times, okay, two times, then it is going to give the result of the multiplication. Okay, so one is that you have to repeat the pattern of m n times. Okay, or you may repeat the pattern of n m times. Okay, so in any of the cases you are going to get the result of multiplication, right? So here I am going to use this logic 2, where I am going to repeat the pattern of n m times. Okay, so I am going to store, or I am going to save this 3 value two times. Okay, so this 3 is nothing but it is our n value, and m is nothing but 2. So to generate the multiplication result, what I am going to do here is that I am going to uh, save this n value, or I am going to generate this n value two times. Okay, so n value is nothing but we are having three times, so that three ones I am going to generate two times. Okay, so if I generate these three ones first time, I am going to get three value. If I generate another n value another time, it is going to give three ones. So total how many ones we are having? Six ones. Okay, so this is how we have to generate this number of ones based upon this m and n values. Okay, so at the end of the input, that means after processing the entire input, the input tape must have the value as 6. Okay, so this 6 is going to represent the multiplication result. Okay, so in the input tab we are not going to get exact 6, we are going to get 6 ones. Okay, so that 6 ones will be treated as a value of 6. Okay, so see here, uh, two cells here I have taken, it is m value, then I am having a delimiter, then three ones it is representing the n value, then hash, and then we are having the blanks. Okay, the cells which are there in the right side of the hash, okay, those are containing blank, will be used for storing the result. Okay, so see here what I will do, I will start with the first one. Okay, so see here I am taking the first one in m. Okay, so for that one I have to save this n value, that means 3 ones, in the result portion. Okay, so in the result portion, so where we are having the result portion, this one. Okay, so what I will do, I will take the first one in m. For that particular one I am going to save the n, that means 3 ones, in the result portion. Okay, by replacing the blank. So if I could see here, after hash we are having the blank, so that blank will be replaced by 1, next blank will be replaced by 1, next blank will be replaced by 1. So that means we are uh, repeating the pattern n, that means 3 ones, in the result portion. Okay, for every occurrence of each one in m. Okay, so we have taken the first one in m and we have saved the value of n, that means 3 ones, in the result portion. Okay, so we have converted 3 blanks into 3 ones. Okay, next one, after that what we will do, we will move the head towards left. Okay, and then we will take the second one in the m, and then we will save this 3 ones in the result portion again. So wherever we are having a blank, okay, so that blank we are going to convert into 1. So for the one which is there in m, we are going to save n value in the result portion. So n value means 3 ones again in the result portion. Okay, so where we are having the blank. Okay, so done. So after that, if you move the head towards right, that means once you process the all the symbols which are there in yum, you will get a hash. Okay, so the moment when we get a hash, what we will do, we will convert all the symbols to the blanks except the 6 ones that we got in the result portion. Okay, so this is the result portion, so except the result portion we have to convert all the symbols into the blanks. Okay, so what will happen, the hash will be converted to blank. Okay, the ones that we have seen in yum will be converted to blank, hash will be converted to blank, the ones which are there in n portion will be converted to blank, and the hash which is there, it is also converted to blank. Okay, so only the result part that we have taken is going to have the values, remaining all cells are going to consisting of blank. Okay, so by doing this we can able to generate the 6 ones, which is the output of this multiplication. So this is the simple logic for it. Let me remove this one. So let me go through the actual procedure. Let me go through the actual procedure of converting this one. So actual logic. So for that logic, we are going to implement the Turing machine. Okay. So we are going to have blank. Okay. Next, we are going to have this m value 1 1. Next, we are going to have hash. Next, 3 1, which is the n value. And next one hash, which indicates the end of n and beginning of the result portion. So initially the result portion is consisting of blanks. Okay, these are the blanks. So if you could see this initial and final representation of the input tape, you could get some sort of idea how we are implementing this logic here. Okay. Okay. Right. So what we will do here, we will start with first one in yum. Okay, we will begin with the state q naught. So what we will do, we will convert this one into blank. Okay, so that means we are considering the first one in yum, right? So we are in state q naught. If we get one, we convert that one or we replace that one with a blank and move the head towards right. Okay, move the head towards right. So here, what we have to do here is that we are searching for the first one in the input portion n. Okay, so here what we are doing after finding the first one in m portion of the input, we are replacing that one with a blank and moving the head towards right. Okay, so we keep on moving the head towards right until we find a hash. Okay, so because that hash indicates the end of the input m. Okay, so then after getting hash, we again move the head towards right. Okay, so when we move the head towards right after the first hash, it is indicating the beginning of n portion of the input, right? It is indicating the beginning of n input. Okay, so what we have to do here is that whenever we point to the n portion of the input, we have to start copying the n input into the result portion. Okay, so what we have done here is that we have taken first one in m. For that particular one, we have to copy n value, that means three ones, into the result portion, right? So here, see, what we are going to do here is that when we reach the first cell that belongs to the input n, what we do here is that we will convert that 1 into x. Okay, we are replacing that 1 with x and move the head towards right. Okay, so why we have converted this 1 which is there in n into x means it is indicating that we have copied that 1 into the result portion. Okay, so out of three ones, which one we have copied into the result portion? So to that, to identify that, we are converting the one which is there in n with the x. Okay, so the one which we are copying, or the one which we have copied into the result portion, that one we are converting it into x. Okay, so the moment when we convert the one which is there in n portion of the input to the x, we move the head towards right. Okay, so when we where we have to copy this one, we have to copy this one in a blank space, right? So we have to move the head towards right. We get one, so keep that one as it is. Again, move the head towards right, we get one, keep that one as it is. We get hash, move the head towards right, keep that hash as it is. Okay, then, so after getting a blank, what we have to do here is that replace that blank with one. Okay, replace that blank with a one. Okay, and move the head towards left. Okay, so what we have to do, since we have marked the blank with one, what we have to do, we have to copy the next one which is there in n. Okay, so to copy the next one which is there in n, what we have to do, we have to move the head towards left. Okay, so that's why we started moving the head towards left. So when we move the head towards left, we will get hash, keep that hash as it is. Then we get one, keep that one as it is. And then we get one, keep that one as it is. And if you move towards left, you will get x. Okay, so after converting blank into one, we have to move the head towards left until we get a x. Okay, so after getting x, if you move the head towards right, okay, if you move the head towards right, then you're going to get a next one which is there in the n. Okay, so what is the head now pointing to? It is pointing to the second one in n. Okay, so replace that one with x. Okay, and move the head towards right. Okay. So what will happen? So what will happen, we have to find out the blank character where this second one has to be copied, right? So for that sake, what we are doing, we are moving the head towards right until we get a blank character. Okay, So while moving the head towards right, if we get 1, keep that 1 as it is. If we get a hash, keep that hash as it is. If we get 1, keep that 1 as it is, and then blank. So this blank will be converted to 1, okay, and then we move the head towards left again, okay. So left, we get 1, so keep that 1 as it is, hash, keep that hash as it is, then 1, keep that 1 as it is, and then we are going to get x. The moment when we get x, we have to move the head towards right, so that we will get a next one which is to be copied in the result portion, right? So this one we have to replace it with x and move the head towards right until we get a blank, okay. So the moment when we get blank, replace that blank with a 1, okay, replace that blank with a 1 and move the head towards left, okay. So keep on moving the left at the left until we get x, okay. So see here, after getting x, if you move the header towards right, what we are getting now, we are getting an hash. So immediately after uh, getting hash, sorry, after getting hash, what we can identify here is the n portion of the input we have processed, okay. So if we are getting hash after x means it is indicating that we have completed the copying of all ones which are there in n, okay. So what we have to do here is that we have to move the head towards left to consider the next one which is there in m, okay. So we have to move the head towards left to point out to the next one which is there in m, okay. So while moving the head towards left, what we will do, we will convert all x's to ones. Why? Because we have to start the second iteration. So while starting for the second iteration, we have to convert this x into ones again, right? So while moving the head towards left, what we will do, whenever we encounter x, we will convert that x into 1, okay, x into 1, and we will move towards left until we get a blank, okay. So we are going to get a next iteration, we are going to get a next iteration where the next symbol which is left of the blank will be 1, okay. So what we will do, we will convert that second one which is there in m with a blank and move the head towards right. So the same process is going to be repeated again, right? So this is the logic. So first thing is that we have to take each one which is there in m. For that one, what we have to do, we have to copy the entire n ones into the result portion, okay. So while copying the ones which are there in n, we have to mark them or replace them with a x, okay. So once we completed the copying of all ones which is there in n, then what we have to do here is that we have to again come back to the m portion of the input and we have to select the next one for which the entire n again has to be copied, okay. So this is the logic. So if you see here, we are having a final input tape where we are having 6 ones in the result portion, right? So remaining all were converted into blanks, okay. So this is the logic here, right? So if you want to go with the second iteration, just practice by your own. So it is the same process that we are doing. So we will discuss this with the state transition diagram here. So same thing here we are considering having blank, blank, same one is the input. Next we are having hash. Next we are having 3 ones. Okay. Next we are having hash. Next we are going to have blank. This is the initial input tape, right? Or the symbols which are there in the input tape. So if you see this diagram, we are starting with the starting state q naught, okay. So that is the starting state, and the head will be pointing to the first one which is there in m, okay. Let it be. So we are starting with the 1 here. So in Q naught, what we are doing, if we get a 1, we replace that 1 with a blank and move the head towards right. Okay, so this is the portion that we are calling it as M, right? So in this M, for each one, what we are doing, we have to copy this N into the result portion, right? So for this one, first one in M, we have to copy these three ones into the result portion, okay, or in this one where we are having the blanks. So first thing, when we read this one in Q naught, we replace that one with a blank and move the head towards right. Okay, so on moving the head towards right, uh, we also change the state from Q naught to Q1. Okay, so see here, if the input tape, if we are in state Q1, if the input is 1, what we will do, we will keep that 1 as it is and move the head towards right. Okay, so in Q1, if we get hash, that means now the input is hash. What we have to do, we have to move the head towards right. Okay, we have to move the head towards right and change the state from Q1 to Q2. So see here, Q naught on 1, replace that 1 with a blank and move the head towards right, and we have to keep on moving the head towards right until we get a hash. Okay, so in Q1, if we get any ones, that ones will remain 1 as it is and moving the head towards right, so we will be in same state Q1. So in Q1, if we get a hash, keep that hash as it is and move the head towards right, and also change the state from Q1 to Q2. Okay, so Q2. Now in Q2, we are getting the 1. Okay, so when we move the head towards right after the first hash, it is indicating the beginning of the input N, right? So we are in state Q2 and we are in the first symbol of N. Okay, so we got 1. So in Q2, if we get 1, what we are doing, we are replacing that 1 with a X. We are replacing that 1 with a X. Okay, and moving the head towards right. Okay, so in Q2, if we get 1, replace that 1 with a X and move the head towards right, and also move from state Q0 to Q2 to Q3. Okay, so in Q3, if we get any ones, keep that ones as it is. So we have to move the head towards right until we get a blank character, right? So because we have to place that 1 into the blank character, so that's why we have to move the head towards right until we get a blank character, right? So in Q3, if you see, we are having a self transition. That means if you get 1, keep that 1 as it is and move the head towards right. If we get hash, keep that hash as it is and move the head towards right. So if you get, whenever we move the head towards right, we are going to get either ones or hash, right? So those ones and hash will be kept as it is because we are in search of blank symbol, right? So keep on moving the head towards right, you are getting another one, keep that one as it is, hash, keep them as it is, next blank. So in Q3, if we get a blank, then what you have to do here is that replace that blank with a 1, replace that blank with a 1. Okay, replace that blank with 1, replace that blank with a 1 and move the head towards left. Okay, move the head towards left, and also we will change from state Q3 to Q4. Also we will change the state from Q3 to Q4. So in Q4, if we get any ones or hash, what we have to do, we have to keep them as it is and we will be in the same state. Okay, so we have to keep them as it is and still we have to move the head towards left. Okay, so here we are moving the head towards left until we find a X. Okay, so once we find a X, if we move the head towards right, it will give the next symbol which is to be copied in the blank position. Okay, so uh, let me consider here. So this is the first one we have copied, right? Now we are in state Q4, right? So in Q4, if we get 1, keep that 1 as it is, move the head towards left. Okay, sorry, that means in Q4, if we get hash, keep that hash as it is, move towards left. If we get 1, keep that 1 as it is, move towards left. If we get 1, keep that 1 as it is, move towards left. And if we get hash, So in Q4, if we get sorry, this one, if we get x in Q4, if we get x, what we have to do here is that we have to move the head towards right. Okay, so we have to move the head towards right so that we can start copying the second one which is there in n. Okay, so see here in Q4, on getting x, what we will do, we'll keep that x as it is and move the head towards right, and move the head towards right. Okay, and also we are moving from state Q4 to Q2. Okay, so why we are moving from state Q4 to Q2 means the Q2 is the state where we perform the copying operation, isn't it? So Q2 is the state from where we are copy the ones which are there in n into the blank positions, right? So that's why in Q4, if we get x means we immediately move the head towards the right and also change from state Q4 to Q2. Okay, so that means if you see this diagram here, now the first one has converted into x. Okay, so again what will happen, we are in state Q2 now and the input is 1, so replace that 1 with x and move the head towards right. Okay, so that we can copy this 1 into the next blank, so this blank will be converted into 1. Okay, next again move the head towards left until we get x. So after getting x, move the head towards right, then we get second next one that is to be converted, or that is to be copied. Okay, so convert that one into x and move the head towards right so that that one will be copied into the blank position. So we have copied, let me consider this one. Okay, and then move the head towards left again. Okay, so keep on moving left until we get a x. Okay, so here, so here, okay, so here this is the x we got. So in Q4, if we get x, what we will do, we will keep that x as it is. Okay, and we will keep that x as it is and move the head towards right. Okay, see here, and we will also move from state Q2 Q4 to Q2. We have to move from state Q4 to Q2, right? So now we are in Q2 and we got hash, right? So whenever we get a hash in Q2, it indicates that the copying of n symbols has been done. Okay, the copying has been completed, so that is indicated if we get hash in Q2, right? So that's why we are having a transition from Q2 on hash towards the state Q5, right? So what we have to do here is that since we have copied the n portion of input into the blank spaces, now what we have to do, we have to move the head towards left. Okay, so why we have to move the head towards left means to uh, copy the that means to start the next iteration where we have to consider the next input symbol which is there in m. Okay, so what we will do before starting the next iteration, what we have to do, we have to convert all these x's into ones. Okay, so see here in Q2, if we get a hash, keep that hash as it is and move the head towards left. So we have to move the head towards left, right? While moving towards left, what we will do, we will convert that x into 1. So see here in Q5, if we get x, replace that x with a 1 and move the head towards left. And if we get 1, keep that 1 as it is and move the head towards left. If we get hash, keep that hash as it is and move the head towards left. Okay, so if you see here, this x will be converted into 1, this x will be converted into 1, this x will be converted into 1. Okay, 1 1 1. Okay, and next we keep on moving the head towards left. Okay, so we have to keep on moving the head towards left until we get a blank character, right? So see here in Q5, if we get a blank, what we will do, we have to move from state Q5 to Q0. Okay, so when we get a blank, what we will do, we will move from state Q5 to Q0, by keeping that blank as it is, we have to move the head towards right side. Okay, so when we move the head towards right side means we will get a next symbol in a m which is to be considered for the next iteration, right? So again, since we are having next one in m portion, so again we have to repeat it. Okay, so the m portion of the input we are considering in a state q naught, right? So that's why we are having a transition from q5 to q naught on blank. Okay, so that is the thing. So once this so see here, so in q naught, so here I assume that we have copied n values two times. Okay, now, so when we move the head towards the left, what will happen? We will get a blank. Okay, after getting a blank, if you move the head towards right, right, in q naught, we will get a hash, right? So whenever we get a hash in q naught, it indicates that the input processing has been done. Okay, so it will indicate that we have completed the process of copying n pattern m number of times, right? So in q naught, if we get hash means what we have to do, we have to convert the remaining symbols, that is nothing but hash, into the blank, and the n portion of the input into the blanks, right? So we have to convert all the remaining symbols except the output portion or result portion into the blank. So see here in q naught, if we get a hash, what we have to do, replace that hash with blank. Okay, and move from state q naught to q6. Okay, so in q6, what we have to do, we have to convert those ones which are there in n portion into the blanks. Okay, so that's why in q6 we are having a self transition where we find each one and replace that one with a blank and move the head towards right. So here input portion, if you see n input portion, we are having one. So that one will be converted to blank and move the head towards right. So next one will be converted to blank, move the head towards right. Next one will be converted to blank, move the head towards right. Okay, and in q6, if we get hash, what we will do, we will replace that hash with a blank. We will replace that hash with a blank and move the head towards right. Okay, and once you move the head towards right after the last hash, after replacing the last hash with a blank, you will get a output cells. Okay, so you will get a output cell. So from this point you are going to get a output cell. So we can move from state q6 to q7. You can mark the state q7 as a final state, right? So in q6, if we get a hash, replace that hash with a blank and move the head towards left, right, and also move from state q6 to q7. So q7 will be the final state, right? So if you examine this final state of this input tape, it is consisting of 6 ones. Okay, so remaining all symbols we have converted into blanks. Okay, that means m portion of the input we converted to blank, hash we converted into blank, n portion of the input we converted to blank. Okay, so this is the overall logic and the state transition diagram for this Turing machine that performs the multiplication of two numbers. Okay, so I hope the concept is clear. So just practice by your own. Okay, if you get any doubts, just notify me once. I will try to clarify those doubts in the coming sessions. Okay. So next one is techniques for Turing machine construction. So you may get a theory question related to this concept. What are the techniques that we can use for construction of Turing machines? So we are having different techniques. So we will see those techniques here. So first one, storage in a finite control, right? So here in this particular technique, every state is going to store one symbol, right? So till now we have seen the various automatons in which we are going to have only the state, right? But here in this technique, every state stores some sort of input, right? So we can say here the state is a pair of values, pair of two values here. the first value indicates the state and the second value represents the symbol which is stored in that particular state. Okay, so here the Turing machine is going to have the finite number of states, okay, in the finite control or in the CPU. But here every state stores some symbol. Okay, since the state is storing some sort of symbol here, each state is represented by using a pair of values. Okay, the first value in a pair represents the state, the second value in the pair represents the symbol that is stored in that particular state. Okay, okay, so here the symbol that we are storing in the state belongs to the tape symbol, right? So that is the symbol that appears in the uh, input tape. Okay, so that's why here you could see I have represented q comma small a. Q is nothing but a state and a is nothing but a tape symbol, right? So here you could see a diagram. Here we are having the infinite tape that is common. Okay, we are having a finite control that is consisting of finite set of states, but every state here is storing some symbol. Okay, some tape symbol, right? So that tape symbol here I am representing it with some capital A, right? So here while constructing the state transition diagram for this type of automaton, we are going to get one attribute additional with along with the state number. Okay, so here you could see q naught comma 0, right? So q naught is the state number or the state, and 0 is nothing but the symbol that is stored in that particular state. Okay, so this is like a state which is represented by using the two tuples, right? First tuple is the state, second tuple is something the symbol which is stored in that particular state. Okay, so this is the property of storage in finite control. Next one, Turing machine with stationary head, right? So that till now the Turing machines that we have constructed, in that Turing machines we used to move the head either towards left or right, right? So here we are having the another technique where we can construct a Turing machine where its head can be a stationary one. Okay, so that means it may move towards either left or it may move towards either right or may not move. Okay, so for some particular portion of the input the head may not move, right? So whenever we process the input, that means we replace that input with some other symbol, the head may remains in the same position, right? So whenever we have the head to be in same position even after processing the input symbol, then that particular Turing machine is considered as with stationary head. Okay, so that Turing machine will be considered as a having a stationary head. So here we are going to have the three possibilities for the head movements. It could be either left or right or it could be a stationary. So S is representing the stationary. Okay, next one. So another technique, here we are having a Turing machine with multiple tracks, right? So here in this strategy the input tape is divided into several tracks. So till now we have seen a input tape that is consisting of sequence of cells and it is having only a single track, right? So there may be a possibility that a single tape can be partitioned into several tracks, right? And the tape head is going to read the symbols which are there in the several tracks. Okay, so here that tape alphabets consisting of k tuples. So here we are dividing the input tape into several tracks. So we are going to read those input symbols from the several tracks, so that tape symbols are going to be represented by using some tuples. Okay, based upon the number of tracks that we are having. So let me say I have divided the input tape into three tracks. Okay, so when I read the tape symbols, I will get the tape symbols as a three tuples, right? The first tuple is belonging to the track 1, second tuple belonging to the track 2, and third tuple belonging to the track 3. Okay, or you could say the symbol belongings to the track 1, symbol belonging to track 2, symbol belonging to track 3. So here the input tape symbols will be represented as a three tuple values, right? Why we have taken the three tuple means because we have divided the input tape into three tracks, right? So that is the meaning, right? So here The tape alphabet consists of k tuples, okay, where k being the number of tracks, okay. The next one, the only difference between standard Turing machine and the Turing machine with multiple tracks is set of tape symbols, right? So till now we used to consider only one tape symbol, right? So but here we have divided the input tape into the several tracks. So the tape symbols are also more than one here, right? So depending upon the tracks that we have considered. So this is the example. So here I have taken three tracks, one, two, and three. So three tracks are here, okay. And assume that the finite control is there and the head is pointing to this one. So here, if you consider head is pointing to this particular position, so that means if you read the input symbol means you are going to get a input alphabets with three tuples, input alphabets as three tuples. Okay, so each tuple belongs to one symbol in each track, right? So first track we are having x, so we'll get x comma y comma z. Okay, so this is the input tape symbols represented as tuples. So how many tuples are there here? We are having three tuples, right? So why we got three tuples? Because we have divided the input tape into the three tracks. Okay. So if we divide the input tape into five tracks, we are going to have the tuples. That means input symbols with five tuples. Okay. So that is the meaning. So this is the example here. Next subroutine. So next one is that any subroutine can be simulated by using a Turing machine. Okay, so like if you are having a subroutine that performs that multiplication, then that subroutine can be represented by using a Turing machine, right? So in that Turing machine, the sum of the states will indicates that call to a procedure or call to a subroutine, and some of the states will act as a return state. Okay, so see here, a Turing machine can simulate any type of subroutines found in programming language, uh, including recursive procedures. It has designated initial state and return state. So here, this one is more important, return state. Okay, these states are used to indicate the call to the subroutine and return to the caller subroutines. Okay, so this is a simply to give an idea that any type of subroutines or functions can be simulated by using the Turing machine. So how we are going to simulate those function means uh, with the help of the states itself. Okay. So some of the states are going to represent the function calls and some of the states are going to represent the return values or return calls. Okay, so these are the different techniques that we use for constructing the Turing machines. So these are the concepts for today's session. So thank you for attending the session. We will see the remaining concepts in the next session.